Welcome to the Reframing Eye Care podcast. Today's guest is Dr. Jacquie Bowen. Thank you, Jacquie, for coming on the podcast. It's such an honor to have you on.
Thank you, Maria. It's an honor to be here, for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure most of you, a lot of the listeners know you, but for those of you that do not, she's been practicing Colorado since 1992, completed a residency at Omni Eye Specialist in Denver, and then purchased a private practice. And then she met her husband and married him while attending CCO, and has two grown sons and a daughter-in-law. And she is the vice president of the American Optometric Association, still practices in her 3-doctor, 2-location practice, which she currently partnered with My Eye Doctor back in December 2021. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Give us a little bit of background on your career and how calling you doctor hasn't really stopped, and how you've become a leader in optometry to get to vice president of AOA at this point.
Absolutely. It's without going too long and convoluted, oftentimes when I'm talking to students and new doctors, I have this sort of theme of, just say yes when you're asked. Our lives are very, very busy. When we come out of school, we're trying to establish a practice and establish a family. You never have time to volunteer for anything. You never have enough money. You never have enough resources to give just a little bit more. But it's very compelling when somebody in your profession who you respect and admire and see as a leader asks you to step in. So, my first ask was for our local society. And then I served on the Colorado board for 7 years. And then was asked to participate in a number of AOA committees and, asked to run for the board of trustees. And at each step of the way, it was like, oh my gosh, no, I can't do that. I'm not worthy. I'm not prepared. I'm not eloquent or whatever. But, when others seek you out and believe in you and think that you can do it, that's a buoying sort of a commentary on your abilities. So I've been very happy and lucky to have colleagues who educate and people that I can emulate and nurture, that nurture me. And I've been able to turn around and offer that same thing to up and coming leaders in the profession.
Yeah, that's great to see. When a lot of people on the podcast, that's what I've asked them as leaders in the industry in different parts of the industry. And a lot of them said, just say yes to every opportunity. Yep. And it's always someone that kind of looking to lift you up and sees your real potential. And, over the years, you've had different positions in the AOA. And, as a female in the industry, you're paving the way for other females. Tell us a little bit about, being vice president and what that is and what the future holds for you with AOA.
Sure. Well, I'm starting my 8th year in service on the AOA board. And as vice president, I'm a member of the executive council. And so although the entire board is very involved in all the decisions that we make, I am finding now I have a lot more phone calls and emails that I need to engage in. And it's really very exciting. I knew this was coming. It's not shocking. And again, because we serve on the board for so long, my colleagues are not strangers. My colleagues on the board are friends and people I know well. I know their families. I know their strengths. They know mine. And it's really been exciting also to be a place where almost half of the board is female now. So that demographic change has been a result of the demographic change in our profession. And it's always a little bit later. Commitment to the AOA board is very demanding. It's a lot of time, and it takes a lot of thought and conversation. And there's seasons in life where you just can't do that. So everyone on the board has experienced so much. All of us, we're not old, but we are experienced, and it's awesome to be able to participate with a bunch of diverse individuals with different backgrounds and with different thoughts, and you learn to bounce off each other. And if you have an idea and it's kind of shot down, that might not feel good in the moment, but you understand that all of us are coming from it, at it from an angle of passion about what we're doing and passion for the profession.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for all the years of volunteering and for the profession and for the younger generation of ODs who probably now, take for granted things that we had to fight for in the past. So thank you for your passion, and for the other board members and people who volunteer their time for the AOA, because it helps our whole profession. So for you being a board member, what has that meant to you? And I mean, I know you're doing a lot for profession, but give an insight of what you're doing and for our listeners to understand there's a lot of behind the scenes activity that people do and volunteer.
Sure. I think one thing that members and non-members tend to focus on is what we do in terms of moving the profession forward, expanding scope and increasing our patients' access to us. But so much of what we do is defensive and protective. I honestly believe that without the AOA and the state associations, we as optometrists would look a whole lot different. We probably would not be a profession that's called doctor. You're aware that there are some legislation efforts being made to take our doctor and physician status away. And if we aren't constantly defending and constantly aware of what's going on, particularly legislatively, and throughout the healthcare system, and when it comes to third-party payers, both medical and vision, we have to constantly be aware, and our amazing staff and our over 200 volunteers all participate in that vigilance. So it's exciting to be a part of that, and it's nerve-wracking. It's important stuff. We are by far the primary eye care and eye health providers. Ophthalmology is shrinking, and optometry is growing, and we're poised. We're poised for excellence. We are excellent, and we're excited about expanding our opportunity to take care of our patients.
Yeah. Tell us about your transition from private practice to private equity corporate optometry, and how has that affected how you care for patients, or has it stayed the same? Tell us a little bit about that and your transition.
Well, I'll tell you, that was not my paradigm. When I bought the practice from a retired, actually deceased optometrist, whose wife is still a really good friend of mine, by the way. It was my intention that this would always be a private practice, and I believe strongly in that practice mode. I mentioned earlier, and demographics are changing. It is oftentimes cost prohibitive. The opportunity and the location where you want to be to purchase a practice may not be there for a new doctor. And for doctors who are looking to make transitions, because I will be retiring someday, we really have kept our finger on the pulse of what's going on at the profession and what opportunities will allow us to continue to take care of our patients at the level that we have been for a number of years. So when my partner and I considered private equity, we vetted, he's a numbers guy. He had all the spreadsheets. We really looked at the possible options, and we had 2 associate doctors at the time too, and we were really intent on making sure that they were able to continue excellent medical care of our patients. In talking with my eye doctor, we realized that was going to be our best opportunity to do that. And there's a whole lot of opinions on there about private equity and selling your practice. Our experience has been very positive. It's been different. We knew there would be change. Our staff, probably had to go through the most change, but the patients really haven't. And to be honest, my job has probably changed the least. I have a geriatric population for the most part now. I take care of a lot of glaucoma patients, diabetics, macular degeneration, dry eye disease. And my doctor has partnered with us in making sure that we continue that level of care. So independent optometry, the independent optometrist has really changed face in the last decade, I believe, that you, as a practice owner, and as an employed doctor, you have opportunity to practice at the top of the scope, to take good care of patients, to have good relationships, and a good referral relationship with other specialists.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I hear a lot of positive stories about private equity, and sometimes some of these practices are just very large that a lot of optometrists might not be able to, young optometrists afford these practices. So it's great to see that the continuing care for the patients and doctors are able to practice the highest of their licensure.
It's really what you make it, right? If you don't want to be engaged and you don't want to continue the way you have been, or you have a different idea for your future, or if you really want to be engaged, I think everybody I know, not just with my doctor, but with other private equities, doctors have really had a voice. And I think the more successful private equities have realized that the practices they're acquiring are successful for a reason, and they want to hear what will separate these practices from a different kind of a model. They want the doctor's engagement. So I've been happy.
Yeah, they want doctor's engagement. Yes, they want doctor, because retention of doctors is important, right? Because if the doctor's there, your patients are going to follow you. They've been following you for years, and they want to stay there. You're transitioning now to, your practice to private equity. It's probably opened up a lot more time, though, for you to volunteer your time with the AOA board and be more involved. Can you give us some inside scoop of what the AOA board is working on? If you can give us a little bit of information that you can.
We had a very successful optometries meeting in June. AOA Plus is the logo that we assign every 3 years, at which point we really focus on getting students, young ODs, and faculty members to our meetings. So we had over 2,400 doctors and students in that category. So springboarding off of that success and that excitement, there's some new plans, and there's plans that we are continuing with. A big one is vision plans and vision plan reimbursement and the abuses that we all deal with. Pretty much every optometrist at some level is paid based on production. And, so our revenue stream, our acknowledgement of the value of the care that we provide is heavily influenced in many cases by how the vision plans are treating us as doctors. So we have engaged at many levels. As there are some very large vision plans, and we have dialogued personally with the CEOs of these organizations and continue that dialogue. We have a health and vision plan action report in the first look, which is AOA's email that comes to your inbox if you sign up for it. There's a little red tab, and every day, all day, every day, you can read about, doctors are able to express concerns, and we're able to see efforts that have been made. The new state laws are changing. Texas recently just passed a bill that addresses all the core areas of vision plan abuses, and there was a lawsuit just announced against legislation that's already passed by vision plans, and that really speaks to their desperation about the progress that we're making. So that'll be an interesting story to follow coming up. We all hear on a regular basis opportunities to educate patients and opportunities where we've maybe failed. Like, I'll have patients come in that I've seen for 20 years that say, oh, and by the way, I had pink eye a few weeks ago and I went to my doctor and they put me on these drops. And I'm like, why didn't you come see me? Oh, I didn't know that you could treat that kind of thing. And that's my bad for not educating them as we went along. So one of the things our members have asked for and the AOA is delivering on is letting the public know who we are as primary healthcare providers, the primary vision care providers, and why everybody should have a lifelong relationship with us. We all know that when you have a baby and it's 6 months old and has 2 teeth, the pediatrician says, take your baby to the dentist to count these teeth that will fall out. That's important. That's great. But they're not recommending a trip to the eye doctor to take care of the eyes that they have to last their whole entire life. So we're trying to change that messaging. Our I Deserve More campaign has been very successful in engaging celebrities and spokespeople. And currently our focus is on the gaming world. I don't know, Maria, if you're a gamer, but if you play Candy Crush, apparently you're a gamer. But there are
back in the day, I was pretty good at Super Mario, but not anymore. So yeah,
you're a gamer. But there are celebrity status gamers, and we've had opportunities to showcase some of our doctors in doing very educational in pieces in a forum where they're playing Call of Duty or whatever it is they're playing. So it's about getting the word out that, in this healthcare environment, we are part of preventative care. We're part of routine care. We're part of healthcare, not just a doctor that you go to when you think you need to. So those are some of the heavy hitting things that we're on right now.
Now, and thank you so much for doing those things. There's a lot of doctors and Facebook groups and a lot of different just still complain about things like this that's going on. And it's nice to know that they passed legislation in Texas and been successful. And now hopefully we can get other states involved and show that, there is some harm to the doctor-patient relationship with that. And hopefully, with this new issue that's coming up now, that doctors partner with the AOA to help fight this in Texas, just like with the legislation in Florida, that everyone came together as a community, which was great to see, right? And that was a win. We've had a lot of wins in optometry over the last year, and a lot of the big wins we see, but a lot of the small ones maybe a lot of people don't know about. So again, thank you for volunteering your time in making those wins for all of us, because it affects all of us.
Well, that's nice of you to say, but it's absolutely a team effort.
So. Of course, yeah. Can you give us some advice for your colleagues when they're asked to do something, or career advice? I mean, you've done a lot of different things. You have some leadership positions. You're successful. What's some pearls that we doctors can take from your experience over the years?
Well, we already talked about just saying yes, so that's important when you're asked, and that goes for membership in your professional organization too. Let me put a pin in that for a minute and say one thing I always try to emphasize is optometry is so vast, and there's no way that any of us can be really good at all of it. So please, if you have a case, if you have a patient that needs some help beyond your comfort zone, unless it's absolutely a surgical case, consider first referring to an optometrist colleague, whether that's an ocular disease case, or vision therapy, or myopia control, or dry eye, or if there's an area where you feel like this patient needs some more specific care, send to your local optometrist first, have a verbal agreement that they're not going to steal your patient or sell them a bunch of glasses, or whatever the concerns might be. But our profession has so much to offer in so many areas of health that the people are not aware of. Patients aren't aware that they need this, and we can be the venue to provide even higher level care within our profession. You mentioned my bio. I have a couple of kids, and so I was a working mom. I am a working mom still. My husband was employed full time, recently semi-retired, but he was very engaged. His job was a little more flexible. So when the kids were sick and I had 20 patients on the schedule, he usually was able to stay home with us. So with them, so I'm blessed by those sorts of things. But I still really wanted to be an engaged mom, and I know lots and lots of optometrists who are parents of little humans and of animals and that kind of thing. And optometrists are amazing parents. When we have the opportunity to be with our children, we're not just, looking at our phone and letting them watch video games all the time. I mean, that's a necessity sometimes, but we engage, we take them on outings, we sit through piano lessons and practices, and we really try to make them into excellent human beings by going above and beyond the necessities of keep them fed and clothed and sheltered, right? And that same thing should be true of our profession. We shouldn't be sitting back and letting somebody else babysit our profession. At the very least, I believe every optometrist should support the profession by being a member of the AOA, because it's the one organization that advocates and protects like no other. Some seasons in life don't allow you to get engaged beyond just membership, and that's okay. Just be a member, try to stay informed, and if the opportunity comes for you to serve and be engaged at a higher level, do it. If you decide not to do it, your membership is golden. So I want to thank everyone who's listening, who has that security and that confidence of being an AOA member, and certainly invite anyone who's not to really be a part of the solution. And there are many solutions that we need, and our members are key in that.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your experiences. And thank you again for volunteering your time and advocating for our profession. It's something that you do. It's not being selfish and helping a lot of optometrists, whether it's members or non-members, right? It helps all our profession. And I do agree with you. I think all the optometrists should be members of the AOA and provide support, just like we all came together for Florida. I think which was great. And we fought that battle and won that battle. So again, thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you. There's plenty of battles ahead. I look forward to engaging in with everyone. So thanks for having me on your show, Maria. I enjoyed my time talking with you.